primary and an early caucus victory in Iowa. Fox's Madison Allworth has been speaking to voters today in Londonderry, New Hampshire.
We've been hearing from voters here at the Red Arrow Diner is that they're happy with last night's results. Most of them voting for President Trump. I'm going to sit down here with this table with Mike. We were chatting. Okay, let's start.
Yeah.
Mike, who did you vote for last night?
I voted for Donald Trump.
Okay. And so what were the issues that pushed you to support Donald Trump again?
You know, he's got a record. It was the best 4 years that I've ever worked in my industry. And he sealed the border. That's a big problem, you know, big challenge that we have right now. So he already has a great record. And I want to do it again.
I'm hearing a bit economy and a bit border.
Yeah.
That's something that our polling showed to be top issues.
Mr. Trump edged out GOP rival Nikki Haley by more than 10 points, but she is vowing to fight on the next primary in her home state of South Carolina. The Biden campaign responding to last night's results as a rematch between President Biden and Mr. Trump seems increasingly likely.
Tuesday's results here, Biden-Harris campaign manager Julie Chavez Rodriguez says confirms former President Trump has all but locked up the Republican nomination.
And the election-denying anti-freedom MAGA movement has completed its takeover of the Republican Party.
And so, Deputy Campaign Manager Quentin Fulks says the campaign is full steam ahead into the general election.
Just looking at the reality of the data in front of us, right? We've been prepared for this since the launch of this re-election in April of last year.
Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, the Republican runner-up in this primary, says her support is growing and she intends to stay in this race.
Fox's Jared Halpern. Today, the United Auto Workers Union announced they're endorsing President Biden for re-election. The UAW has more than 400,000 members. America is listening to Fox News.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY.
Two American flag ships carrying cargo for the Pentagon and State Department coming under attack by Houthi rebels in Yemen. U.S. Navy reportedly intercepted some of the incoming fire. The Pentagon and United Kingdom have launched multiple rounds of airstrikes seeking to stop attacks on cargo vessels in the Red Sea. White House National Security Coordinator John Kirby.
Initial reports that we're getting indicate that we had effective results on all three targets. 2 headquarters buildings and an intelligence facility were destroyed. I want to emphasize that these actions were taken in self-defense.
Meantime, a militant missile strike on Saturday wounded 4 U.S. personnel in Iraq. The Pentagon says there have been at least 150 attacks by Iranian-backed militias on service members in the Middle East since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. Texas National Guard appears to be thumbing their nose and adding more border barriers near Eagle Pass. This despite the Biden administration winning a Supreme Court ruling giving federal agents authority to cut down razor wire and fencing.
Texas is not backing down. In fact, they're adding more razor wire, reinforcing areas where migrants have already crossed. This morning, we watched 30 migrants climb a shipping container and use clothing to protect themselves. The Texas National Guard and Texas DPS, they were on the other side of that to arrest those migrants from crossing and then for criminal trespassing rather than Border Patrol processing them. Texas Governor Abbott said on social media that Texas continues to hold the line by deploying razor wire to repel illegal immigration.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol in Eagle Pass. Texas officials say if federal Border Patrol officers cut down the wire, they'll just replace it. A Russian military transport plane crashing in a border region near Ukraine. Moscow is accusing Kyiv of shooting it down, saying all 74 people aboard were killed. The White House says they're still gathering intelligence on the alleged crash. I'm Tom Graham, and this is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign, Urbana this Saturday, and it is a foggy one to say the least, and likely to stick around in about the same look and feel over the next 24 hours or so. So use care and caution, and at the same time, keeping an eye on area streams and rivers, particularly out up to the north. Recent snow melt and the effects of ice jamming underway too. In any event, foggy areas of dense fog through today, tonight, and tomorrow, with occasional periods of rain and drizzle. Up to 43 today. Light southerly wind, more rain tonight in spots, low down to 41, and showers continue on for the day tomorrow, especially in the afternoon. Highs at 46 degrees. The rain moves out early tomorrow night, lows down to 36. A little drizzle early in the day on Friday, cloudy skies at 44. A largely quiet weather pattern heading in early next week. Weak system may generate a little rain late Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, maybe a snowflake come Sunday. 43 on Saturday, 41 on Sunday, with low to mid 40s for highs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. For Stevie J Broadcasting, I'm Peter Olchus, Greg Soldier.
Like it should be, me starting off. Oh, wait, Pipes is on the road, so don't tell him. Nobody tell him that just happened. It is The Drive with Tay and Piper. I'm Lon Tay, Kyle Tosk alongside, and special guest Corey Witt. My buddy is here to fill us in for an hour and talk some Illini sports, especially basketball, as we roll along. Derek Piper, the aforementioned, what a word, he will join us at 3:30. So at the bottom of this hour, Pipes, of course, covering the game in Evanston, which leads me to believe no baby yet for Derek Piper and Haley. So far, so good, unless he gets the call like halfway through that game and he sprints out of Evanston. So it will be Kyle and I and Corey getting you through the first hour. Second hour, we're going to visit with a Northwestern gentleman. His name is Matt Shelton. He's a managing editor at WildcatReport.com. So we'll get a little bit more nitty-gritty on a Northwestern team that Illinois took care of handily earlier this season at home, but now on the road, it's always a different story, and we'll talk about that as we go. You'll also hear some Brad Underwood before we're out of here, getting you set for tonight's 8 o'clock tip-off between Illinois and Northwestern. Kyle, I'll start with you. Our guy Connor Onion on the call tonight. I'm excited for that. This is never easy when you go on the road in the Big Ten in general. Just ask anybody pretty much that plays on the road. All you got to do is check the scores each time. But Northwestern, the last 3 big wins they've had, 2 of them have come against Purdue at home, and Purdue was ranked number 1 both times, and they also beat Maryland, I know, earlier this year, a team that Illinois, of course, always has problems with for some reason. So we know this won't be easy tonight against the Wildcats.
Yeah, it won't be. It's funny because 3 years ago, trip to Northwestern, that's basically a home game for Illinois. It still probably be 50% Illinois fans there, but Northwestern the last 2 years has changed the way you view a trip to Evanston. When Purdue can't go in there and get a win with 2 teams that are going to be number 1 in the country, and they've had a lot of success at home. And I do feel like, though, I said it yesterday, I just think this is a really great matchup for Illinois. Yeah. Like we saw it in the first matchup, and that was without Terrence Shannon. I think Northwestern really struggled with the size and the ability for Illinois, the booty ball with the mask, and Illinois kind of picked them apart when they tried to trap and double, and I just think the length and size Illinois has for some of those Northwestern guards, for Boo Buie, it's been a problem his whole career. I think he's shot under 40% from the field against Illinois, like 6 of his 8 games he's played him. So I think it's a good matchup for Illinois. That said, it's not going to be a 30-point blowout like it was here in Champaign. I think it's going to be a tight game, and Illinois is going to have to play well.
Corey, I got a lot of questions for you, including Terrence Shannon. But before we get there, I was looking here today. Derek Piper wrote his 3 keys and prediction for this game tonight, and I was staring down at this, that Illinois owns the all-time series against Northwestern 144-43.
Wow.
You and I are about the same age. We're old as dirt, in other words, but we've been watching this for a long time. Northwestern is a team, kind of like Kyle said, that – you know, it used to be it was just kind of an automatic pretty much win wherever you played them. But Chris Collins has done some good stuff there, got him to an NCAA tournament. And he has two good guards, especially one with Boo Buie that's incredible, and a guy that really went off against Purdue earlier this year. Ty Berry also had a big game in that one as they beat and upset Purdue. But they've got a couple of guards that can really make a difference in a game like this.
Oh, they absolutely do. I don't know that there's a lot of better guards in the Big Ten than Boo Buie.
That's
I
true.
mean, he's a solid player offensively anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and like Kyle was saying, it's a different. Since Doug Collins took over, it's a completely different thing up there. I mean, it used to be it was a win.
You said Doug Collins.
I meant Chris. I'm sorry.
Hey, Doug Collins, the old Benton, Illinois native.
Doug's always at the game.
Right, he might as well be coaching.
Yeah,
with that.
Chris Collins has done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
Since he's gotten there, and he has changed the narrative up there a little. There's a lot more excitement up there for Northwest, and there should be.
Yes, big time.
They're I think an NCAA tournament team. I really do.
They got to do some work.
Yeah.
I know I was looking on bracketology yesterday while I was here, because I pretty much work every day, Corey.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's leave
We'll
that
talk
one alone.
about that later.
Hell, I was trying to get today off, and Piper's like, I'm going to be gone. I was like, dang it. But if I'll have Kyle do a fact check, but I'm pretty sure, and Corey, you might know this, but Doug Collins, you mentioned him. Of course, he grew up in Benton, Illinois, attended Illinois State University, and was the #1 overall draft pick.
Isn't that unreal?
In the National Basketball Association. And then, of course, went on for a long time, coached the Bulls and Sixers and others. But it's amazing what he was able to do. And then, of course, Chris was a guy Illinois tried to recruit and ended up going to Duke and had a great run at Duke. So this will be fun. Now, let me get back to, we haven't talked to you, Corey, since the news with Terrence Shannon. I don't want to get into all the, you can imagine that. I'm sure you don't either.
Yeah.
We've talked about it enough, but the idea, let me ask you this, as a big Illini fan, when you first heard the news, what was your thoughts on that with Terrence Shannon, both kind of on the court and off?
Well, first I was stunned because it looked when you got the news at first, it looked really, really bad.
Yes.
I mean, and I'm not saying it's not still.
Right.
I'm just saying it looked really bad. So I was stunned because this isn't a kid that, at least to my knowledge, that has ever been in trouble ever. He's been pretty much a model student, you know. So I was very stunned and I was caught very much off guard. And I was worried for everybody involved, and it's still going to be, boy, is it messy and touchy.
There's no doubt, and I read today, Kyle, that his hearing now has been pushed back to May
10th.
So I know I read that, and I'll give credit to Brett Behrens. He wears makeup. But Brett Behrens had tweeted that out and mentioned it looks like then Terrence could play the entire season for Illinois. So understanding the other side of it, Corey, and not always having to go back to that, like, well, but we also, I mean, understanding all of that, that's unbelievable news for Illinois. That you could not only get Terrence Shannon back, but everybody was wondering, like, okay, well, how long is this going to last? It sounds like it could be through the end of the season.
Yeah, and I think it will be. But you inject a first-team All-American in anybody's lineup, and it's a little bit of a boost. But, yeah, it sounds like, barring something funky happening in Kansas with the DA or whatever, that it sounds like this thing has been pushed to the back burner until May.
Kyle, I'll ask you, what was the first thing you noticed about having Shannon back? Was it just the speed of the game? And not the speed of the game, but just the idea that Illinois really got out and ran. And it just seemed like, not that their offense hasn't even been smooth without him, but it just seemed like it was like that missing little piece that then turned it into just fluidity.
Yeah, the pace that as soon as he checked into the game, you got two transition opportunities where he finds Coleman for an alley-oop and another assist. When he was out, Illinois was playing much slower, and you just didn't have that force in transition and a guy that you give him the ball and he's going to go and beat everyone down the floor. I think that's where you noticed it. And he made a huge impact in that game because you saw when he first checked in, they went on that run with 2 straight fast breaks where Steve Pikiell called a timeout. Then when Rutgers cut the deficit to 4, you find him 2 more transition buckets, timeout Rutgers. Like he's just an igniter that can get you going in his instant offense without you having to run anything for him because he can just get out in the open floor and score. So I think that's where you saw it. You saw without him, Illinois was pretty much a half-court team that was going to hunt matchups with Damask and whoever else, and play through Coleman more in the half court. But with Shannon back, you can play a lot faster, and you've just got a one-man fast break, so to speak, who can really just ignite you at any time.
Without a doubt. We'll talk to Derek Piper, bottom of the hour. Also visit with the Northwestern guy at 4:05, getting you ready for this game tonight. Corey, you and I, as mentioned, we've been Illini fans our entire life.
Yes.
What kind of thoughts in your mind do you have knowing that Shannon's back? And if it works out to where he's back through the end of the season, you've seen some really great Illini teams.
Sure.
You and I were still young back in the day in '89.
Yeah. I was a senior, actually, so.
We were still what was considered good boys by our parents.
I was a senior in high school. Now I'm just a senior.
Now you're just a senior. Yeah, we really had that big gap there where now all of a sudden, and of course, 04, 05, 84 was an unbelievable team. I know that's pushing us a little bit younger, but Bruce Douglas and that crew, Altenberger,
Ephraim Winter,
Anthony Welch. I mean, that
George
was
Montgomery,
Big George. So those were teams that, obviously that team lost at Rupp Arena in the Elite Eight and a team that easily, they made the rule then after that. Well, you can't play at home.
Why does that keep happening to Illinois?
I don't know.
The NCAA tournament rules change based on Illinois getting screwed out of the gym.
Oh, was that ball tipped in the final 2 minutes? Well, let's make a rule change then since Illinois got screwed against, was that Miami?
Yes.
Yeah, against Miami. Barry Larkin's son or whatever.
Yes.
But
never did like Barry Larkin.
I know. He was good, though.
No, he was awesome.
Man, was he a good shortstop. You'll have to ask your dad about that one, Kyle. Barry Larkin was a hell of a shortstop for the Reds. The Reds were good back then.
Oh, really good.
Kyle, did you know that Corey and I have lived in a world where the Reds won World Series and like that?
That is pretty insane.
The one year they had the entire infield, I think, in the All-Star. Like
they were
Joe
really
Morgan and Dave Concepcion.
Johnny Bench.
I mean, they were incredible. But back to future now. Tell me your thoughts on this team in terms of what do you think the ceiling is for this team? Is this a Final Four team with Shannon?
I honestly think there's a possibility.
I agree. I think you'd be silly to say they're not.
The thing that's different about this team, even different than the Io Kofi teams, is I just think there's a connectivity with up and down the line, everybody, not just the starters, the bench play. Any mix and match that Brad does seems to just play with each other. They share the ball.
Yep.
They don't care who scores. And you know what? And they were playing like that, hence the Missouri game before this thing with Shannon ever happened. They looked awesome with Shannon. So, I think, there was a little rust there.
Right.
But that's going to happen. He's going to be fine. And as long as they continue to share the ball and just play with this camaraderie that they've had I really think most of this, the Maryland game was a little bit of an outlier.
It was.
But for the most part, and they're old.
Yeah.
Nothing really phases this team. They don't get shook even at Purdue, it didn't look good. I mean, they were down 20 before you could blink. But look what happened.
Yeah.
And that was without Shannon.
And that's a great Purdue team.
Oh, and they're fantastic.
Oh, they're really good. Yeah, and you kind of look back at Illinois' losses. There's nothing to shake your head about or whatever, losing at Purdue.
No.
You lose to a really good Marquette team. I'd love to play them
I think
again.
we'd beat them.
I would love to play them again because they came in here and, give them credit. They came here and they have knocked you solid now twice in years where Illinois had really good teams. Back with Kofi and those and Io and that crew.
But did Kofi play against them?
Oh, that's right. He didn't play.
Yeah,
it was part of the 3 games.
Yeah, the ridiculous
due to the chest thing or
locker or whatever. Yeah. But I was thinking he did not play.
No, that's a great call. And Io was gone by then, right?
Yeah, that was Curbelo.
Okay.
That was not his finest performance.
My bad. All I know is I was at a beach bar in Maui. I'll never forget that. With 2 Marquette fans.
Oh,
it was a Pekin insurance trip, and we have people from Wisconsin, Iowa, Indiana, all over.
Yeah.
And 2 of my really good friends are big Marquette fans. They're season ticket holders. So we went up to the bar to watch the game, and I'm sitting there like, we don't need Kofi to beat Marquette. And sure enough, Marquette beats us. I'm like, gosh dang it. But you got to give Marquette credit here. And obviously that's a team still that can do some damage down the road. But you look at that, and besides the Maryland loss, which was weird because there was about a 10-minute stretch there where they couldn't make a layup.
Right.
I mean, it was weird.
Right.
Other than that, I'll start with you, Kyle. Other than that, I really haven't seen anything that would tell me that this team is in danger. Like, there's not one thing that tells me, well, they're not a good shooting team. There's nights where this team lights it up. They can't play above the rim. That's not true.
Nope.
They can't rebound. Well, we know that's definitely not true. They can't play defense. Well, they're one of the best defenders in the country defensively as a team. So it just, to me, shows you that there's not many holes on this Illinois team. We talk about point guard, but I feel like with the way they play, I don't know that they necessarily need it. I'd still rather have a point guard.
Yeah.
But what do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was very concerned about the point guard situation, and I can confidently say I have no concerns about it now because I just think that the style in which they play and the fact that they have a lot of different ball handlers, like they've found ways to work around that. And so I agree. I don't really see a ton of weaknesses with this team. I think offensively they've been far beyond anything I could have imagined.
Good point.
Without Shannon, they were one of the best offenses in the country. With him, they might be the best. There's that ceiling for them. Defensively, I think you know what you're going to get. It slipped a little bit recently, but adding Shannon back I think is going to be huge. You know, having Coleman Hawkins as a defensive anchor and some of these guys. I think there is a consistency and a balance to this team that we haven't seen the last couple of years, that you feel like you're not going to have these giant ups and downs where you get into the tournament and shots aren't falling tonight. They're going to lose by 15 and it's over. I think they can overcome a lot of different things within a game and still find ways to win, and they have this year. And I kind of, now that you have Terrence Shannon back, I'd kind of write off that Maryland game. I don't put much stock in that. That's probably the worst you'll see him play the rest of the year.
Well, and they're an offensive rebounding machine.
Big time.
This is one of the best offensive rebounding teams I've seen at Illinois.
It's amazing.
I mean, they had guys that they just flat crash it.
Gary A is a beast.
Oh, he is one of the better rebounders. And it's not like he's 7 foot.
No, that's the thing.
He is a heck of a rebounder.
Ephraim Winters was a good rebounder.
He was, absolutely.
I was trying to think. So this is funny. Like when we say I heard somebody say the other day that Gary A is our best 4 since Brian Cook.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I think it was on a post-game
They're completely different styles.
Totally. Yeah. Although Gary A can shoot a little, obviously from the outside, but Cook lived out there, and more flash from Brian, and obviously a guy that played for the Lakers, and Gary A though he's just a bulldog. He just goes and gets stuff done,
and he's strong.
Oh, he's big time strong. So here's the thing I was thinking the other day. And I'll ask, if I ask Kyle, he only has like 3 years to compare like a former Illinois player in his lifetime. What's a comp to Coleman?
Coleman Hawkins
is there a Coleman comp through the years? Lowell Hamilton? But Lowell Hamilton was 6'8".
And Lowell Hamilton's range wasn't.
No, yeah, right. He never really went out. I was thinking in my head, who's somebody that was like
great question.
6'10", and could go outside. I mean, well, Mike Davis was he? What was Mike? 6'8"?
He was. Yeah, I don't know. He might have been pushing 6'8".
And he's second leading rebounder ever at Illinois.
Again, though, he didn't have he couldn't stretch the floor like Coleman.
And Augie couldn't stretch it.
No.
I mean, I know
Coleman is finally starting to get it.
Yes,
we're seeing on the floor in games now what Underwood's been saying that he's been doing in practice.
That's a great point.
For 3 years, But you know what I've noticed with Coleman, when one thing's going well, he tends to do other things.
Yes.
He picks it up on the defensive end.
It's kind of like when my dad used to say, it's amazing how better your defense is after you score.
Yeah.
You hit that 3 and it's like, whoa, you really got down and played defense one time, Teddy.
But as far as a comp, he is kind of unique.
It is.
I mean, and not only that, he can bring the ball up. He can facilitate the offense.
I know.
I don't remember a whole lot of 6'10" guys. That we've had.
And as we know, basketball's changed.
Yeah.
I mean, guys today, we hate to say it, Corey, because you and I were pretty damn athletic.
Damn right.
But guys today are just more athletic than we were. I'm sorry to say. But it is amazing. Like a 6'10" guy back in 1988 or even the 90s, you were pretty much under the bucket and doing back to the basket. And now you got guys that, what's Giannis? Is he like 6'11" or something?
Yeah,
and he can bring the ball up and hit threes if he wants. I said he was a point guard once, and I got yelled at by NBA fans. But, I mean, he could be, probably.
Yeah.
He'd probably be an all-league point guard. So it's just amazing. But I was thinking about that the other day because you can think of comps like for Luke Goody and other guys, but when I thought of Coleman, because I think he's underrated defensively a little bit,
He's
although
getting better.
I think we're seeing it now, right? We're starting to understand that he deserves to be in the line for maybe Defensive Player of the Year. Let me ask you this. I'll ask Kyle first. Okay. Kyle, Coleman is a guy, obviously, that steals balls, rebounds. He blocks a shot on occasion. Has the last 3 games with guys like Julian Reese taken advantage of him underneath, Amori from Rutgers, has that bothered you in terms of claiming that he's still maybe one of the best defenders, if not the best, in the Big Ten? I mean, those guys went for 20-some, and, of course, he called out Pipes. I loved that. I loved it.
I saw that.
Does that bother you in terms of, in other words, does that change your perception a little bit of Coleman in the sense that it seems like a big guy? I mean, Maryland did that on purpose. Kevin Willard said after the game, our game plan was to attack Coleman because he's so good defensively everywhere. We wanted to keep him in one spot, which I thought was brilliant on Kevin Willard's part.
Very smart.
I'm not. I just think we know that that's not really Coleman's strength. I think it's no secret that if you put a more physical, bigger, true center one-on-one against him, that he's going to give up a lot of strength and size in that matchup. So I just don't think that that's really – I mean, at the end of the day, Coleman is more of a 4 that's playing a 5 in Illinois' lineup based on how they want to play. So I don't think that's ever really been a strength or something that they've needed from him. I also think that, Reese beat you in the Maryland game, but, Reed at Michigan, Amori, you still win those games by 15 and 23.
Right,
I don't think you're ever going to lose a game due to that, and I think there's adjustments that you can make in terms of giving Coleman some help and trapping the post, and I just think that falls way down below all the other impact he makes, and the fact that he's a guy that we've seen have a lot of success switching on to the likes of Boo Buie and Tyson Walker, and he's just so good with his instincts and getting those deflections, getting his hands on balls, creating transition opportunities, which now, as you saw on Sunday, when he's getting his hand on a ball and deflecting a pass, all of a sudden Terrence Shannon's running down the floor, and there's how you start your fast break. So I don't think that's ever really been his strength. I think everything else he does outweighs that for me. I still think he's one of the most valuable defenders you're going to find.
Well, and here's another thing, piggybacking off that. I don't worry about it as much either because that same guy that's posting him at that has to go deal with him on the other
That's a great point.
Totally.
And good luck with that.
Yep.
Because those guys, those back to the I'm not saying they're true but they're more back to the basket than what
Even
Coleman
Julian
is.
Reese is an athletic dude.
But they're not. He didn't have any luck guarding him. I mean, you know, now Coleman missed some shots like Illinois did all day that day.
Right.
But good luck on that. So that kind of offsets it a little bit too.
It's a good point. And anymore, I think coaches would tell you we'll take a tough 2 over a wide open 3.
Absolutely.
And by being able to just not double the post, now you've got guys. The other 4 guys are right on the other ones and not giving them those wide open 3s. And I know Illinois. I'm sure if you looked at the analytics, which I do every morning, Kyle, you know this on Bart Torbeck and whatever. What's the other one?
You should know. You're on every morning.
Kenny
Palm.
Well, I forget. I look at it so much. I just kind of. But I think Illinois is one of the better 3-point defending teams in the country as well. So I think that tells you what you need to know. All right, Derek Piper is going to join us here in a second. He's going to cover the game up at cover that big super sectional game at Evanston. I always have to make that joke. I just feel like.
It's a little better than it used to be.
I know. Is it Walsh Ryan? Is that what it's called?
Welsh?
Or Welsh. Yeah. Welsh Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did do some work to it.
Yeah.
But
it's a brand new building, isn't it?
Is it brand? Oh, I think they did work.
I think they renovated.
Yeah, they renovated.
Yeah. Okay.
But it still, to me, feels like that, Tuscola High School super sectional game, Pana and Tuscola. Where Tuscola's got the band on the one side, and like if you go too hard for a layup, you take out the trombone person, and it just still has that feel to me. But we will definitely ask Pipes about that and how it goes. Now, Corey, I wanted to chat with you just a minute about Cardinals baseball, but here's the problem: the Cubs basically just won the division today. Did you know this?
I did not know that. They've won a lot of divisions in January.
Right. They unfortunately have lost Trey Mancini, who I always looked at as a benefit to everybody else in the division because he
They
couldn't
already
catch
lost
a
him
ball.
like midway through last year, and
No, I'm kidding. Trey's not. Is Bellinger coming back or what?
I think he's gonna have to at this
I mean,
point.
gosh dang, it seems like it's moving slow.
It is.
Everything just seems to be moving
Well,
slow.
it's Scott Boras.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Hader signed with Josh Hader signed, and then who was
Chapman.
Chapman signed, and then who was the kid that used to pitch for Tampa? He just signed a big deal with was it San Francisco? I think the Giants now have Hicks and this kid that pitched in Tampa, but I don't know. I just keep waiting for the Cardinals to add a reliever here, and it's like, and then the Cubs. I keep waiting for Bellinger to sign on, and I don't know.
I don't either. I mean, have you seen that commercial with the quarterbacks? Marino and Emmitt Smith, and they're trying to make they sit and they come walking out in their uniform. They said, "There's the Cardinals starting 5 rotation right there." I mean, it's not that. I mean, Sonny Gray's good. They have some good, but they're not young.
Well, they're old, and they're all coming off.
Yeah.
I mean, they're old by baseball standard. They're young to us.
Yeah, I'd love to be 35.
Right. But they're all coming off seasons in which they threw major innings, and that just worries me.
Yes.
I mean, the Cardinals always have a starter get hurt anyway.
Yes.
So if you're going to go into the season, I know Zach Thompson's there, and I know Libertor's there, and I know you've got guys like that, but I don't know if I'm ready to trust Libertor
I'm
and
not
Thompson.
either. Well, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, so you're going in with 5 guys, and 3 of them are older than dirt, and you're sitting there thinking that they're going to be healthy? I mean, maybe they will.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give them this. Brad Thompson said the other day at the Caravan, the one thing that I'm not worried about those guys putting in all those innings is that that's what they do. And that's kind of the way their career has gone. And I agree. Lance Lynn is a workhorse.
He is. He's an inning eater.
Sonny Gray is a guy that ate up a lot of innings for the Twins and always has kind of in his future, in his career. I don't know much about Gibson. I just don't remember him. But he lives in St. Louis, which is was kind of strange. But I don't know. It's just like I look at this reclamation project that the Cardinals are going through, and you can almost tie something back to the Cardinals in this way. Let me explain. So Gibson, you sign him. Well, he lives in St. Louis. So it's kind of like you got a little bit of a, well, look, I live there. I'd like to come and pitch for the Cardinals. Lance Lynn, well, he used to throw for the Cardinals, right? So you get him back. Sonny Gray lives in Nashville. He wanted to play somewhere close to home, so the Cardinals benefit by getting him. Matt Carpenter used to be a former, and it's just like all these signings are almost like guys that are just like, hey, I wouldn't mind playing for you here the last couple of years, make about $20 million and live close to home.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems
the Carpenter thing shocked me.
It did.
Well, for one thing, I didn't even know he was going to play anymore.
Well, right.
I mean,
I think the last time we saw him, we thought he probably shouldn't.
No. I mean, he had a great run when he was younger at the car. He was a very good player, but I think that time may have come and gone. Just like with me, it's come and gone.
it's all. Corey Witt could bash a baseball and a softball, but I don't think I'd want to see that these days.
No,
I don't think
nobody would want to see.
No.
Well, I might still be able to hit it, but somebody would have to run.
So right. Do we get pinch runners?
Yeah, I think you can.
Kyle could be our designated pinch runner.
Kyle can run for me.
So we'll bat you 4th, me 8th, and Kyle then will be able to just continuously, although I'd have to get on base, which is impossible.
Jim Rosso in there too.
Yeah.
Jim was a good player.
Oh my gosh, I always knew that Rosso was a hell of a player.
He was very good. He wouldn't tell you. He would act like he's like Bob Uecker.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know.
But he was a really good player.
He always gives me like, well, you were such a good fast pitch player. I'm like, Bob, right there, or Jim, right there, you're lying. Like, right, I'm seeing through you right away. I was not a good fast. I played, had a lot of fun in right field after games, drinking beer, but that was about the extent
I can still do that.
Oh yeah, you and I are probably the leaders in that. In fact, now we're so old, we're the ones that are bringing the coolers for the kids.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, here you go.
Oh, the old people are cool.
Yeah, right. These guys are pretty neat. Except they keep telling stories about their youth. It's like, oh, boy. Corey's going to tell another story about Nationals. Oh, well, I won't go there.
We can't do that.
No, let's don't go there. Although we did beat Damon Bailey.
We did.
Can you Google Damon Bailey real quick?
Do you remember
Kyle?
him, Kyle?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Wow.
Bob Knight.
I think he committed to Indiana in 6th grade.
Yeah,
or 8th
something.
grade.
I think it was 8th grade. And Bobby Knight at a press conference one time, I know we're late getting to Piper, but he'll understand. Bobby Knight at a press conference, I think one time, was so mad at his team that he said, I have an 8th grader right now that would be my best point guard on this basketball team. I think he was on Sports Illustrated, wasn't he? Did he make the cover of that magazine or something? But he played for the Pacers.
Yes.
Played for are they the Indianapolis Pacers or the Indiana Pacers?
I want to say Indiana.
I think it's Indiana. But yeah, Damon Bailey. So Corey and I beat him 3-2. Where was he from?
And it was slow pitch, everybody.
Right.
I wish I could tell you it was fast pitch.
I didn't even think of that. People are like, when's the last time you had a 3-2 slow pitch game? Well, we were a little hungover.
Little.
He was on a Sports Illustrated cover after they beat number 1 Kentucky.
Okay.
That's all I want to know.
He was like the boy wonder of Indiana.
He was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was a good athlete, good college basketball player, and obviously pretty good in the NBA, but never really took off. Hey, all I know is that Corey and I are 1-0 against people that are on Sports Illustrated.
Absolutely. Who can say that?
Exactly. If you can beat that story, 359-2255, let's go. Even though it wasn't really his best sport, but that's all right. We beat you, Damon Bailey. I need to have him on one day.
That would be awesome.
We need to get him on and have you here, and we need to talk crap the entire time.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just be real nice for the first 5 minutes and then be like, hey, Damon, you need to sit down for a minute. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Derek Piper joins us to chat Illinois Northwestern. We'll do it next. It is The Drive.
BMW, Buick, GMC, Honda, and Subaru. Welcome to Sarah Champagne. We can handle all your car repairs on site, including paintless dent repair, bumpers, windshields, everything in between. We have an amazing selection of new or pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Shop from home and buy online or reserve your vehicle before it hits our website or dealership. Sarah Champagne is home of the Sarah One Price Promise, delivering an honest and transparent buying experience. Hurry in or shop online at sarahchampagne.com.
First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana invested in our community since 1908. Before you buy your home in 2024, we invite you to speak with one of our experienced lenders, Jack, Jim, Kim, or Lane. Experience the convenience of working with a local lender with local service, decisions, and loan underwriting in our comfortable offices. Visit us to experience the exceptional friendly service from our knowledgeable staff. Hey, if you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. We do. 356bank.com, First Federal. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 435120.
In an ever-changing real estate market, it is so important to work with experienced agents like Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor teams at Taylor Realty Associates. They have the knowledge and expertise to get your home sold for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. Trust the experience and success of Russ and Nick Taylor with the Taylor team at Taylor Realty Associates. Give them a call today at 217-355-0700 or visit them online at taylorboys.com. That's taylorboys.com.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
I'm Dr. Jaya Wadawan, and I'm a pediatrician with OSF Healthcare. RSV is respiratory syncytial virus, and it's very common in pediatric patients, especially in the age group of less than 2 years old. In RSV, some symptoms to watch for is fever, cough, wheezing, any difficulty breathing, decrease in appetite. So with COVID and RSV, it's difficult to differentiate the symptoms and the presentation of each. The best thing to do is go to your provider and get a swab for both COVID and RSV. Older people can get it. It presents more of an upper respiratory infection. However, in the pediatric population, it presents more in the lower respiratory tract, which causes more of severe symptoms. Treatment includes supportive care for fever, so that includes Motrin and Tylenol. And if they need further respiratory support, that would include some oxygen support and nebulization. Visit the website osfhealthcare.org.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over so you can start saving today. Kurt and his team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. You've heard about the doggy bag, right? From Bulldog Disposal Muhammad, a 6 cubic yard canvas bag that can be used for easy cleanup instead of a big dumpster. The one-time use bag is now available and you can save the delivery charge. Get the doggy bag at Do It Best Hardware in Champaign at 107 West Springfield. So fill up the bag, call Bulldog Disposal, have it disposed of, and you'll be organized. Go to bulldoggybag.com for all the details. That's bulldoggybag.com.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5, The Drive with Tay and Piper. That is fitting because Derek Piper is going to join us right now on the Tapman's Towing phone line. Kyle Tosk is here. Corey Witt here as well, who may jump in with a question. Derek Piper, how are you, buddy?
Doing well, man. Making my way up. I think I'm going up. You know, there's quite a bit of fog here on I-57, so I don't even really know what direction I'm going. But I'm in the car. I've been driving for a while. And I'm either going to end up in Evanston or Memphis, and I'll let you know here in 3 hours.
If you start seeing signs for Carbondale and such, you possibly maybe need to stop and turn back around on that end. Yeah, it's foggy out there. Be safe, please, in driving in this, even around here. I mean, just even in Philo, you're driving around and it's foggy. It's, you know, I mean, we had freezing temperatures, and we're like, okay, we battled through that. Well, then I'm going to throw some freezing rain at you. Oh, okay. Well, we battled through that. Well, now I'm going to give fog to where you can't see. I mean, enough! Just get nice again.
And has fog ever lasted this? I mean, what is? Are we in London?
Is this Stephen King? Like,
what is going on?
Are we in London? Werewolves in London. All of us. People are going to get attacked in movie theaters tonight. All right, that was a different kind of movie theater, though.
Yes,
Werewolves in London.
yes.
All right, Pipes. Back to the thing at hand here, which would be Illinois and Northwestern. Illinois just took down Northwestern by 30 the first time they met them. What went right in that game for? Well, obviously everything. It seems like. What did Northwestern not do well? I guess in that game against Illinois.
I think that when you look at their defensive game plan, it really just got exploited. Now, Illinois on the night where they shot 55+% from three, and on the whole, I mean, they're putting up 1.5 some points per possession. They just couldn't do anything wrong offensively, but Northwestern game plan wise, they pretty much knew as far as Illinois goes. They knew what they were going to do. They knew they were going to double the post a lot, which Illinois is getting into the booty ball matchups. And so when they doubled, they had a lot of easy cuts to the basket. Quincy Guerrier was able to piece going down the lane and Damas finding them, and then also some kick-out threes. So they just really had everything working, the ability to hit from the outside, the cuts, and then when they didn't double and Marcus Damas had his one-on-one matchups, he just killed them. I mean, he was 12 for 16 from the field, 32 points. And this was a situation where Northwestern just doesn't have a lot of size, particularly on the perimeter. So when they have Bowie, when they have Barry out there, even Ryan Langborg, that's essentially playing the three for them, transfer from Princeton, they're really all between 6'1" and 6'4". So Illinois just had the size advantage. I think that as we'll talk about tonight's matchup, just how does Chris Collins maybe pivot away from that, or just what adjustments can he make to try to do something different. But they just could not slow Illinois offensively. Then at the other end, just not being able to get guys around Bowie going.
Yeah.
It was a tough game for Langborg, a season low, 2 points. Barry had an okay game, but most of it was towards the end when it was already a blowout. Ended up in double figures, but he was held down for the most part. For Boo Bowie to have 0 assists, it's the only time it's happened all year for him. And 20 points, which Illinois, you know, it sounds like a decent amount in general, but, you know, I think it was 14 shots, 13 shots to get 20 points. He didn't light you up by any means. So it was a 30-point win, 96-66, and I know a lot of people, as far as Illinois fans go, will look at that and say, well, we should walk into their house and smack them tonight, which I think Illinois could, especially because this, on paper, is just a tough matchup for Northwestern. But then again, life on the road is going to set in. I think some desperation for Northwestern, who's on the bubble right now and coming off a loss at Nebraska, and then wanting to avenge what happened in Champaign where they were thoroughly embarrassed. So I'm very interested for tonight's game. But, yeah, Illinois played about a perfect game in that one. And, oh, by the way, they didn't have a first-team All-American on their side for that either. So
that makes sense, what you just said. I look at this. Is this a let Boo Buie just do his thing and basically shut down Barry, Barnhizer, Langborn, and others? I mean, is that kind of how you would approach it if you're Illinois? Or we saw what Boo, when he got going against Purdue and they were able to upset the Boilermakers, maybe you don't want to get him necessarily going.
I think you want to make his life tough as much as you can. I know that when you talk about those decisions in terms of you're going to play on an island against one guy and not help, or you don't, there's a lot of times we hear Brad Underwood or other coaches out there say, well, we were okay with this guy getting his points. And I've always kind of laughed at that sometimes. Like, you're okay with Trace Jackson Davis scoring almost 40. And I know that, as you guys were talking about in the first segment, some of these centers that have gotten their points here recently, like Amori doing his thing, wasn't going to kill you. So I understand that maybe not doubling him if you're worried about shooters. But on the note of Bowie, I think you just, in terms of individual defense, so that's going to be Ty Rogers, or that's going to be Terrence Shannon. And I think if you circle back to the first matchup, I thought Marcus Damas did a really good job on him. There was probably, if you had told me going into the game that he was going to be matched up with Bowie as much as he was, whether that's just, I think, probably playing into the switching action that Illinois has on the perimeter and him seeking out some of those matchups. I would have thought that was going to be tough, but both Damask and Goody guarding Ty Berry for a decent amount in that game were able to really hold their own and not get blown by and that whole kind of deal. So it is important because Berry in their Big Ten games at home, about 18 points a game, in a 3-game sample size, but still has shot it and scored it a lot better at home. And then Langborg, too, in Evanston since early December is shooting 50+% from 3 as well. So you don't want those guys around Bowie. That's really where Northwestern's at their best. Bowie has it going, and he's attracting a lot of attention from your defense, and then he's able to kick it out to some other guys. But I think if Illinois can make sure that it's tough for Bowie to break down that first level of the defense, make sure he's not really forcing a lot of help. But that's going to be tough because he's that talented. He's got an ability to blow by you off the dribble. He's got range on his jump shot, and he's got a really good floater game too. So I think Bowie, although coming off a rough performance at Nebraska, he was 2 for 15 from the field, will be trying to obviously get back on the right track. And he just kind of had a knack for showing up at big games at home through the years, especially in the last 2 against Purdue, against Michigan State, whatnot. So I know Illinois is giving him issues, and I do like the matchups as far as Illinois athleticism and size-wise with Terrence and Ty, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pretty good version of Bowie tonight.
Derek, this is Corey. Just wanted to get your opinion on something. With this being the first road game since the suspension of Terrence Shannon, how do you anticipate, if the team, coaching staff, Terrence himself, how do you anticipate what's inevitably coming from the student sections and an opposing crowd? Do you think that that's going to make any difference? I think Illinois is a better team and will win the game, but do you think that'll make any kind of difference at all tonight in the outcome?
I'm sure that, so Brad got asked about this yesterday, and he kind of downplayed it, and I think just in general he's avoided trying to talk about the situation or any impact it has on his team, just to not maybe fuel the fire externally and anything. I would imagine internally they're having conversations about what could potentially be said, or just in general, just the idea that, hey, there's probably going to be some things that you'll hear that could upset you or could just rile you up and could cross the line. I mean, these are, when you go to opposing arenas, you're always going to have that potential. And then talk about student section, they're college kids. I think that a lot of situations people can remember. I know Kyle currently in college, and, he does a lot of regrettable things. But us, as far as
I'm 50 and
previously being in college, and maybe would be more willing to say some stuff that as you get older you not want to say. But just on that note, I think that they probably don't fully know what it's going to be like until they face it tonight. I'm sure they understand it's going to be a raucous crowd in general. It's going to be a environment with that student section that's going to be hyped up. But I think they're going to target Terrence probably relentlessly. They're probably, at the very least, going to boom every time he touches the ball and try to heckle him in warm-ups. And it might go beyond that. I don't know. And even as someone covering the team, I won't know it until I see it for the first time. That's not to say that every arena is going to be the same. There might be one that's a lot worse than another. But, is there going to be any shock value to, all right, this is really bad?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know that. But I do think Terrence is going to have to try to control his emotions for sure and try to be able to just get used to this because it's going to be something he faces probably the rest of the season.
Well, and the thing that's going to help.
Go
ahead. The thing that's going to help too is it's going to be. I think there's a realistic chance there's going to be 50% orange in the building too.
Totally.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to help. But yeah, in general, having that student section near the court, that's probably what you're going to get the most of. But that's the point. I mean, this isn't going to be even though they're trying to do an all purple, a purple out tonight, there's going to be a good share of orange tonight.
Absolutely.
From a basketball perspective with Terrence, what do you expect his second game back now? Obviously made a big impact on Sunday, but you could tell there was some rust there. And what do you expect just from kind of the reintegration process that Brad has talked about? What do you expect on the court from him tonight as he tries to rework himself back in? And from a matchup perspective, obviously Northwestern did not have a lot of success defensively in the first matchup, and they didn't have to see Terrence. What layers can he add to this matchup offensively for Illinois?
Northwestern just really doesn't have a guy with his size and athleticism combo to go up against them or anything close. Like last year, Adiz being 6'4" and being a pretty good athlete, and obviously a co-defensive player of the year in the league, he was able to make some things tough or just challenge him. And I look back at that game in Evanston last year. Obviously, Illinois was not in a good situation, was not playing good basketball, but the way that Northwestern just packed the lane and dared Illinois to beat them from three and make Terrence pass it out. Of course, this team is different. They're shooting the three at a lot better level and got more capable shooters and whatnot. So I think that's with Terrence is in terms of probably having some matchups against smaller guards for the most part. I think there is some decisions for Northwestern to make. I would imagine to try to combat some of what Marcus Mass can do in booty ball. They probably want to get Barnheiser on him as much as possible. If I'm Chris Connell, that's the way I'm approaching it. But then who's guarding Terrence and how do you approach that? I think also with their center spot, with Nicholson still playing, even though he's not starting, still playing a lot of minutes, is he going to try to guard Ty? Of course, then you look at last game and Ty only played 14 minutes, so that could be a counter for Illinois then to really get that spacing. But to your question, I think it's the downhill ability. You just hope that Terrence is able to not force the issue too much, that he's able to find the rhythm back on his jump shot. When you missed a 6-game stretch, that showed some of the after effects against Rutgers, although he did get going there in transition. That's the thing I'm most confident about, I think, is just the athleticism and the downhill ability, especially on the fast break. Illinois coming off a game in which they had 20 fast break points, most they've had all season. Terrence was responsible for 16 of 20 of those. When you think about either ones he scored on his own or ones he assisted on, and namely the ones to Coleman early as soon as he checked in. So I think that's something that he's a matchup problem for Northwestern because of that athletic profile. And then defensively, I know Brad mentioned that he made some mistakes against Rutgers. You got to hope that he's dialed into this one. As I mentioned earlier, probably drawing some of Boo Buie, obviously also Ty Berry assignments, and just making sure that he doesn't get overly emotional, doesn't try to do too much, and is able to be sound and settle back in. And I think if you get the dominant version of Terrence Shannon, I'd be surprised if Illinois loses this game. if he's still trying to find his way and also having a tough time on the road for the first time since all this, then obviously it's more of a toss-up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, he's a young man, and I'm sure he's going to hear some crazy stuff. I want to close with two things on Terrence Shannon off the court. It was reported today that the second hearing has been moved now to May, essentially meaning that Terrence Shannon, if nothing else happens, could play the entire season with Illinois. So that's good news if you're an Illini basketball fan. I want you to touch on that. Also, secondly, you tweeted out, of course, the statement that the University of Illinois made, and I want to read one thing in this, and it says, quote, "In keeping with the court's directive, Coach Underwood was instructed to treat Mr. Shannon as he would any other member of the team in good standing and not limit participation based on the involved allegations." I know that's something we discussed yesterday in terms of Brad playing him. You read that statement from Robin Kaler and the university. What do you think of that, plus the hearing being moved back?
Yeah, I appreciate the transparency from the Associate Chancellor to be able to come out and take us inside a little bit of the behind the scenes in terms of the process of getting him back on the court. And let's be honest, it's in response to, number one, a lot of criticism that naturally and inevitably is going to come Illinois' way with putting Terrence on the court, given the arrest for rape allegations. And that's just admittedly to the outside world who maybe doesn't care to read into the finer details or even make any other judgment beyond it. They're going to say it's a horrendous look, and that's kind of unavoidable. But in terms of the potential blame or liability or questioning of Brad Underwood as someone that, yes, the player is no longer suspended, but the idea, as we discussed, and a lot of people have discussed, is did Brad have a decision to make? Could he have still sat him out? Could he have done this or that? And this statement today provides that Brad really wasn't put in a position where he was going to have to do that. They told him, treat him like a guy that's back, fully back, and like any other player on the team. So that will take some of the ownership off of him. Obviously, all of it, if you believe and fully trust that, say that the university directed him to go this way based on the ruling by the federal judge in that civil case against the University of Illinois. So on the note of the preliminary hearing being pushed back to May, that barring any kind of unexpected surprise evidence or surprise happening, would put Terrence in a position to continue to be an active member of the team the rest of the way. I don't see really at this point any foreseeable way that probably changes. So I think that with just the timeline of this thing, it sets up for him to be in action the rest of the year, even as he's currently under investigation by the Office of Student Conflict Resolution. I think that they're going to wait and find out what comes to pass with the legal process. So as Brett Barron tweeted and said that it was a scheduling conflict that led to this, I think a lot of questions naturally of, okay, what led from them to push it back from late February into May? That's a significant pushback. That maybe, I don't know all the details there, but as far as we can tell, that probably solidifies for the most part that Terrence is going to be in action the rest of the way, which for Illinois fans is good news.
Well, Pipes, who do you have tonight? Who you got?
Let's go.
I think it's going to be a close one. I did teeter back and forth a little bit. I think that it's going to be a really tough game. And as I wrote, you look at the last 3 ranked games that Northwestern's played at home, going back to last season. They beat number 1 Purdue twice, really, last year and this year. And they beat Indiana, number 14, last year as well. But this matchup is just tough for Northwestern because of the size that Illinois has. And with Terrence back, it's a player that they just don't match up all that well with. So I think it will be a war. I think it's going to be a back-and-forth battle all the way till the end. I took the Illini in a close one, 76-73, getting it done in Evanston, which any win on the road you'll take, and should be a good battle.
Win is a win. Derek Piper, be safe coming home, buddy. Let's talk tomorrow about hopefully an Illinois victory, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, buddy. Derek Piper, great stuff there. Corey, your thoughts. I know you're not going to be here next hour. What are your thoughts on Illinois Northwestern? We got about a minute.
Okay, I agree with Pipes on that. I think that the difference between Illinois and Purdue Purdue is big in the middle, but their guards actually, Northwestern kind of matches up size-wise with their guards, where I don't think they do with Illinois.
No.
So, yes, I think Illinois is there's going to be a lot more at play than normal tonight on a road game. But I do think Illinois is going to come out of there with a W. I don't think it's going to be easy.
I don't care who you are. The abuse Terrence Shannon's going to take is going to be something that I don't care if you're an NBA player, a college player, whatever. I mean, you're not used to that. And I think that's going to be something he's going to have to overcome, not only tonight, but for the rest of the season, obviously, if he continues to play. Corey, thanks, buddy.
Hey, I love it. Anytime.
We'll get you back on again soon.
Anytime.
Kyle, let's get a break. We'll be back with Northwestern, some thoughts on the Wildcats with Matt Shelton. We'll do that next. It is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
The most union-friendly president in U.S. history. I'm John Saucier, Fox News. President Biden joining the United Auto Workers on the picket lines during a dispute with major auto companies over this past fall. The president speaking at the UAW conference in Washington today, where he received the union's endorsement.
I kept my commitment to be the most pro-union president ever. I'm proud you have my back. Let me just say I'm honored to have your back and you have mine. That's the deal.
Fox's Edward Lawrence has more.
The number of union members grew from 2022 to 2023, but the total number of people working, only 10% were union jobs in 2023, and that is actually down slightly from 10.1% in 2022 because the total number of people working. Now, in getting the union endorsement, there's no guarantee the rank and file will follow the bosses into the voting booth, and that's what the former president is counting on. And this election could come down to which groups come out to vote, and President Biden believes that he has the unions in his corner.
UAW President Shawn Fain says workers may have to make a choice between someone who supports them and someone who divides them, painting former President Trump as a billionaire who only represents rich people and tries to squeeze the American worker. It was a big day for Donald Trump at the Granite State. He takes aim at the current commander-in-chief and the other Republican hopeful. Here's Fox's Brian Yennis.
She won 62% of the unaffiliated or independent voters in New Hampshire, 26 points over Trump. She argues that makes her the most electable against President Biden. Perhaps surprisingly, 95% of New Hampshire voters said the most important trait voters are looking for in a Republican nominee is if they are mentally fit. Haley last night challenged Trump, who said he would do better than Haley on a mental competency test. The former governor of South Carolina just released 2 brand new ads in her home state of South Carolina, reminding voters of her accomplishments there. She was governor there from 2011 to 2017. The polls show that Trump leads in that state by some 30 points.
I'm John Saucier, and this is Fox News.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When Freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
There's no better time than the new year to help protect your identity and finances. LifeLock detects potential threats to your identity that you may miss on your own. If you do become a victim, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will work to fix it. LifeLock is the New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Save 25% off your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY to save 25%. That's LifeLock.com. Promo code CLAY.
The U.S. military launching successful strikes against terror groups who attacked American troops several days ago. Fox's Ryan Schmelz with more details.
The Defense Department claims 2 headquarters and an intelligence facility just south of Baghdad, Iraq, were destroyed by a series of U.S. strikes Tuesday against the Iranian-backed terrorist organization Hezbollah.
I want to emphasize that these actions were taken in self-defense following, of course, the attack on our forces in Iraq, and certainly consistent with international and domestic law.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby says the strikes were in direct response to a series of attacks against U.S. troops stationed in Iraq and Syria. In particular, the strike at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq this past weekend. Kirby also sending a message to Iran, saying the best thing the government can do is cut off support for groups like Hezbollah. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
The Biden administration's dispute with the state of Texas over razor wire along the Rio Grande River continues, despite the Supreme Court ruling in favor of the White House on this issue. Fox's Jackie Heinrich has more.
President Biden knows that people care about the border. He knows enough to talk to Fox for a little while last week, admitting that the border is not secure and imploring Congress to give him the money to fix it. But this administration is having a tougher time explaining why they went all the way to the Supreme Court to force Border Patrol to remove that razor wire that Texas officials put there to keep migrants out. Republicans predictably calling out the irony of the Biden administration forcing Border Patrol to remove the razor wire, which their union says is helping their core mission of securing the border.
And again, Fox's Jackie Heinrich. Now, the White House argued this wire was impeding Border Patrol from doing their job, cited court precedent supporting the federal government's sole authority on immigration enforcement. Texas has started to put that razor wire that was taken down back up, of course, in defiance of this order from the Supreme Court. I'm John Saucier, and this is Fox News.
Hello again, everyone. Let's check weather for East Central Illinois, Champaign-Urbana this Saturday, and it remains a moisture-laden one across the area, along with recent snowmelt and some thawing of those area streams and rivers, keeping an eye on some localized flooding across areas up to the north, in particular, Ford and Iroquois counties and up towards the Kankakee. Foggy for the day-to-day and right through early tomorrow in areas of dense fog as well. Plan accordingly with travel. Periods of rain for the day-to-day, a little more rain and drizzle in the afternoon as well. Highs up to 43 and a light southerly wind settling in this afternoon. Occasional light rain and drizzle for tonight down to 41, and a few showers for the day tomorrow, especially in the afternoon, up to 46 degrees. We'll bottom out tomorrow night in the mid-30s, a bit of rain early on, and maybe a little drizzle patch early in the day on Friday, cloudy and 44. A little more rain back in for Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, even a snow shower comes Sunday. Upcoming weekend highs of 43 Saturday, 41 on Sunday. Mild weather pattern for late January continues on, maybe a little sun into the first half of next week with highs in the lower 40s. For CVJ Broadcasting, I'm meteorologist Greg Solgay.
What you need to know about the weather. It's really foggy and Lon's in shorts again. All right, we're done with as one person said it, Andrew's got a game tonight. Although I don't think he's going to play. I think he might play tomorrow night or Friday night, finally, getting back from a calf injury. I know. But a buddy of mine the other day said, Lon, I've seen you in jeans now 2 days in a row. It must be cold. I'm like, it's really cold, right? So
as soon as you got back to like the upper 30s.
Oh, it's shorts again.
All day.
That's all that matters. All right, it is The Drive with Tay and Piper. It was great to have Corey Wood here in hour one to join us and chat some Illinois Northwestern. It was also great to just visit with Derek Piper on his way up on a foggy day. Let's now hit the Tapman's Towing phone line and visit with Matt Shelton. He's managing editor at WildcatReport.com. He covers the Northwestern Wildcats. Matt, welcome to the show. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Thank you all for having me.
Absolutely. Is it as foggy in Evanston as it is here? I know you don't know how foggy it is here, but it's horrible. Is kind of similar up there?
Yeah, pretty similar. I mean, I have an apartment in Chicago. I haven't head up to the game yet, but we've got pretty much about 3 stories of visibility, and then everything above that, it's pretty much gone.
It's crazy. Chicago's a great place, man. My brother had a condo in Lincoln Park for a long time, and we used to make quite a bit of trips up there. The summers in Chicago, is there anything better?
No. I mean, with the lake right next door, it's beautiful up here.
Except for Cubs games. Kyle's a Cubs fan.
Oh, come on.
Oh, okay.
You had to throw that one in. I thought you already got your Cubs jab in the first hour.
That's right. The Mancini cut. Yeah, that was my fault. All right, let's talk some basketball here, Matt. You've got Illinois coming in to face a Northwestern team, and we understand in sports in general, when you play at home, things are a lot different, but especially with what Northwestern has done against Purdue a couple of times. Each time they were ranked number 1 in the country. I know they beat a ranked Maryland team, I believe. Or at least a good Maryland team that one that gives Illinois fits nonstop. But you had an Illini team that just pounded Northwestern by 30 the first time they met down here in Champaign-Urbana. What makes you think things will be different tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think the home court advantage is going to be big. I think Coach Collins was talking about his availability. You know, he pretty much wants the exact opposite of what happened in Champaign. Right. But I think from a literal perspective, kind of going into more tangible, I think Brooks Barnhiser's progression pretty much since the Illinois game has been pretty impressive. You know, he's had a little bit of an issue with a ligament on his right hand. That's pretty close to being back to 100%. His shooting touch has come back, and he's averaging 18 points a game in the conference game since Illinois, where he only had 9. So over the past 5, where Northwestern's 3-2 with a couple of tough road losses, he's been a very valuable second option to kind of relieve some of the pressure on Boo Buie and really open up the offense. So I think if he keeps up that trend, that'll be an added element that wasn't really there the first time.
To prove I've still got a little geek in me, I was watching the other day when Langborn scored his 1,000th point in college. Of course, he came over, I believe, from Princeton. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but you talk about, like, other than Boo, and we'll get to Boo. I mean, Boo is incredible, but Barnhiser averaging 14 a game. Langborn had a good game this last outing out. He's averaging about 11. Ty Berry's kind of that veteran, averaging 11 and can do a little bit. I know he's led him in rebounds a couple of times here in a row. The supporting cast, pretty solid, wouldn't you say, with Boo and then that supporting cast?
Absolutely. I think there's a different element to this team than there was last year. You know, last season, I should say. But last season, the team really was defined by its defense. It was winning a lot of games in the 60s, low 70s, sometimes even the 50s, and a lot of it was that swarming defensive style, like fueled by Chase Audige, you know, who was Conference Defensive Player of the Year. This year, they still kind of have that, a little bit of the defensive identity, but I think their offense is much, much improved. You have 4 guys currently averaging double digits. Langborg has really opened up the offense, in addition to having Ty Berry kind of getting back with some positive regression in his shooting numbers. Really struggled from 3 last season, but he's been phenomenal out there this year. So that was, again, another of the many issues of the last time the Wildcats played the Illini. Sure. They never were really able to get anyone that wasn't Bowie going. You know, Berry got to 14, but a lot of that was some late buckets. You know, Langborg only had 2 points. Like I said, Barnhiser struggled. If those guys get some more comfort, you know, playing back at home and playing the way they have over the last few games, again, I think it'll be I don't know if Northwestern will win, but it'll be a very different and far more competitive game.
M_Shelton 33. That's where you follow Matt Shelton on Twitter. Were you a Larry Bird fan?
Yeah. I wore 33 in high school.
Nice. Was it because of Bird, or did you just happen to wear 33?
Yeah, it was because of Bird. I mean, that was also like taller guy, so we got to pick from the 30s. So yeah, that was my pick.
That was like when you were a freshman year. You know, all the cool numbers were taken, and they're like, "Here, Tay, there's like 48 if you want it." I'm like, "I'm a point guard." You know, it's like, but I'll take it. Whatever.
Exactly. I may have worn 44 at some point in my younger days. But don't quote me on that.
Hey, that's the Iceman Gervin, baby, back in the San Antonio Spurs days. So nothing wrong with that.
Oh, that's a great call.
How about that? Well, let's talk about Boo Buie. I mean, besides having the best name, obviously this kid, I'm looking at the stats now. I always round up or down. 36 minutes a game, 18 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 43% from the field, 34 made threes. I mean, what else can he do? This kid is amazing. He's electric. How does he rank in Northwestern's, you know, in their career, I guess, if you will? And I know that, you know, I'm probably a lot older than you, but where do you see Boo in that? I mean, it's amazing what he's done for that program.
Absolutely. I mean, they're currently tracking. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. You know, he's not far off from, you know, being in the ranks of their all-time leading scorers. Wow. You know, he's been absolutely sensational. Now, again, he does have a COVID year, which has helped him kind of get to to that level. But I mean, he's as complete of a player as you're going to find. I mean, he's my assumption he's going to be back-to-back all-first team or all-Big Ten first team. You know. He's gotten better and better every year. And, I mean, one of the more impressive things, I know it's not necessarily the same as the NBA, but, like, he will probably not come off the floor tonight. Right. Know? I mean, it'll be and if they do, it'll be a duck and cover 35-second into immediate timeout, something small like that. Yep. You know, he's logging 38, 39. He played 40 minutes against Wisconsin, I think. He's really just being asked to control the whole flow of the game for the entirety of the game, and he's doing it at such an incredible level. And, I mean, I think Illinois has had one of the better games against Northwestern this season and are able to kind of take him out of a rhythm. But his ability as a passer, as teams have keyed in on him more and more, has really just excelled. I mean, he's averaging above 5 assists for the first time in his career, and that's no accident. I mean, he's maybe a little on the shorter side, but it's hard to build a better point guard than Boo Buie right now.
I was going through it in my head. Evan Eschmeyer's got to be number one, right? I mean, there's Kevin Coble, there's Michael Thompson, Tavares Hardy. I'm trying to think of like the great Northwest.
I believe it's John Scherna.
Oh, Scherna, yeah. I forgot about him. He was the one dude I forgot about. There was a run of Northwestern bigs that could all take you out to that three-point line and just destroy you. And Scherna was the leader in that crew.
They had some great players. Yeah,
those were fun guys to watch back in the day, but they gave Illinois fits. I can tell you that. How big of a game, Matt Stevens, is this or Shelton? Excuse me, not Stevens. My bad. How big of a game is this for Northwestern? I noticed on bracketology. I know that it is what it is, and we got a long way to go. But they're kind of on that bubble. Do you see that with Northwestern, and how big of a win would this be for the Cats?
I mean, if they get a win, it's absolutely huge. I mean, I think they had the incredible win over Purdue that they then kind of canceled out with a tough loss to Chicago State. So if they can pull this one off at home, it's kind of putting that feather back in their cap of a real high-level win against real tough competition. I honestly think this is one of their biggest opportunities as a team that's kind of played the Big Ten even so far. And again, kind of you have that big plus and a big minus.
Sure.
If they can be competitive and keep this not a one-score game, but keep this a single-digit game or a win, it kind of shows that the 30-point loss, which is one of the biggest black marks in their resume right now, was a little bit more of a fluke. Or maybe not a fluke, but this goes to show that that's not indicative of the team they are over the season. I think this is a really important opportunity for them to make a statement. And they've also got the rematch with Purdue coming within a week from now. So they've got two big ones coming up. It's important that they're staying tight or at least winning one of those.
I got two more for you, one on the basketball front, one on the football front. How do you feel like the reception will be for Terrence Shannon Jr. tonight?
It'll be tough.
Yeah.
I'll let you know that right now. There was it's Welsh Ryan Arena, so there's going to be a strong contingent of Illinois faithful there to make some noise for the Illini. But the schools preemptively sent out a warning to the students that any derogatory language could result in ejection or a technical. So I don't necessarily think that warning will be well heeded. Knowing college students, I expect they'll make some noise and they'll be very vocal towards things.
What have you heard? Like, we're in the bubble here, obviously, and we've tried to talk through a lot of the legal stuff. We've tried to, kind of understand what all's going on. There's, just different, ways you can look at this thing, a whole different variety of ways. But how are like Northwestern fans, let's say, taking that news and the fact that not only that, but that he's able to play again?
I'm not sure. I think you'll have a little better of a read of that in the building. I think they've been pretty kind of focused on their own season. I don't think it's necessarily been as big of a story here as much. I also think just especially since they lost by so much to Illinois without him.
Sure.
I think if that game had gone differently, it maybe would be a little more of a focal point. But I think kind of the focus from the team and the fan base is just get competitive in this game or try to win this game rather than really thinking about the Shannon stuff much at all.
That's fair. Matt, I'll finish with this. David Braun, what a job. I mean, can we explain how great of a job he did in his first season at Northwestern with what he came in facing and kind of what he inherited to be able to get Northwestern to a bowl game, that was very impressive.
Absolutely. Braun did an absolutely incredible job, going 1-11 and bringing back a very, very similar roster. Arguably, if you want to look at it in terms of pro talent, it's like you had a first-round left tackle and you had, I want to say, 2 fourth-round defenders plus a 6th-round running back, and you lose all of those guys and you pick up 7 more wins the next season with an interim head coach. It's pretty impressive,
It was amazing. I know that was a game that I truly on Illinois' schedule thought was a win, and we know how that turned out. So unfortunately,
that game was probably one of the wildest I've ever seen in person or on TV. I could not believe what I was watching. That was crazy.
It was crazy. I agree, and I just was so impressed by the way he got that team to get together and the way he brought them together. And I just think he's going to be one hell of a coach in the Big Ten if he continues doing what he's doing. I always thought Pat Fitzgerald was really good, but obviously David Braun has done a good job in year 1, and we'll see what happens down the road. Matt Shelton, managing editor at WildcatReport.com. Follow him on Twitter. It's M_Shelton33. Matt, we appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, man. Matt Shelton, Larry Bird fan. I assume he's a Larry Bird fan if he's wanting to wear 33. I guess you could just say, well, I hated Dr. J, but I'm going to wear 6 anyway. But
when he said he only had the options in the 30s, right? So 33, I mean, that stands out.
That's true.
I mean, any other 30s number?
That's a good point. Like, what single-digit number stands out? 5, 6. You have Julius Erving, Stan Musial, like on my end.
LeBron's worn 6.
LeBron is 6. That's my favorite number. 5, you had Pujols. I'm just trying. I mean, obviously, you're going to relate it to your favorite team.
Right.
How about 10 through 20? What number? I think 10. Well, of course, for Illinois, it'd be 11.
That's right.
With D and Io and crew. What did Kofi wear?
21.
21. That's right. Yeah, it's. I've never thought of it that way, but I think easily in the 30s, it's 33. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar wore 33. Magic wore what, 32?
Yeah, he wore 32.
But Bird and Kareem in 33. Those are pretty good. 2 pretty good players right there. And of course, Michael at 23.
Yeah, 23 is probably the most iconic sports number.
That would be it. Yogi. Wait, Lindy says Yogi. Is that 8? Did Yogi wear 8? Yogi Berra? Or did he also wear 33? Lindy, explain. I'm sorry.
I think it was 8.
309 likes George Brett, 5. Oh, yeah, Sal, 34. Walter Payton, Sweetness.
Good call.
That's a good call. I know a lot of Bears fans love that number. Isn't it funny how numbers are like so important when it comes to sports and how we see our greats? Like 6. Dr. J wore 6. Now, a lot of people would think it's Stan Musial because I'm a bigger Cardinals fan than I am a Sixers fan, but Julius Erving was my favorite athlete. And I always wore number 6 because of Doc. And, Lindy wore 8. Gotcha. I was always number 10. Kobe wore 8. That's a good call, Austin. Kobe Bryant, man. It's amazing that we lost him so young. And his daughter. That's still just.
That was just. That I can remember hearing the news that day. It's just.
They were on their way to her game, right?
In a helicopter.
And yeah. And I think it. I know I watched a YouTube thing on it one day about how they kind of simulated it and what happened, and it was just sad to watch. That's tough, man, to know that Kobe had such a great career and was so young and how much he could have done the rest of his life, but then to lose his daughter. That would be really tough. Mike, good call, man. 51, that is Dick Butkus. Of course, Red Grange, we know that number. Who other Illini? It's amazing to just go down through the look. 33 was Kenny Battle, right? Am I right? Yeah, Kenny Battle was 33. It's just amazing what the number means and how cool it is and how you can immediately put it to a former athlete, of someone that you either rooted for or liked, or maybe it was somebody that beat you all the time. then you can always go with that. All right, here's the rundown. We're going to take a break here after I do a little work, and then we're going to come back. We're going to hear what Brad Underwood had to say about this Northwestern game. So we'll let you hear Brad's thoughts on that from yesterday, and then Kyle and I will finish off with our predictions for Illinois Northwestern with that game tipping at 8 o'clock. Connor Onion on the call. Who's the color guy?
Robbie Hummel.
Yeah, Robbie Hummel. Okay. And
he's everywhere. He's doing a Big Ten game every night.
Is that unbelievable? I think Connor's the same way.
Yeah.
They're just these guys just I don't know. Would that be fun? Let me ask you that. I guess if you were young and single, and I only mean single in the terms of you don't have a wife at home or you don't have a husband at home if you're female wise, and then also with regards to children, obviously that wouldn't be as fun if you had kids and you were missing their events. I would hate that.
Right.
But I would assume that
I think the travel would wear on you, especially since I think a lot of these guys are on like red-eye flights to get from in the Big Ten, maybe you're driving from Evanston to Champaign one night after the other, but sometimes all of a sudden, and next year, all of a sudden you got to fly out to L.A. to call a game.
Oh, my gosh, that's right. And you'll notice sometimes
the travel schedule seems crazy
I know,
for some of these guys.
You'll notice sometimes like Brian Butch, who is a good big man for Wisconsin, does some color for Big Ten, like they'll have him do a Wisconsin game, and the next night he's in Minnesota. Like, they kind of keep him in that region.
And you can't show up, like, you're doing a game the next night, you can't show up at 6 p.m. for the 8 p.m. tape. You got to get there and do all the pre-production stuff.
So I wouldn't be good then at that? I'd be walking in right at game time?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up,
That's
boys?
the problem.
Yeah, he says 33 back-to-back-to-back. Eddie Johnson, Ken Norman, Kenny Battle. Heck yeah. 217, really awesome when the jerseys have a tribute. 21 Latin players for Roberto Clemente, or 25 with the Simeon players. Yeah, definitely Dion and that crew that started that, the Simeon 25 for the loss there of, who am I thinking? Gosh dang it, who was the young man that was coming to Illinois? I'm sorry, I just mentioned him the other day. ESPN did a big thing on him, but certainly you had a lot of guys like that wore that 25 here at Illinois that were all from Chicago Simeon, or Simeon, however you say it, but it was really cool. All right, play me some music, my friend. I'm going to tell you about Busey. Hey, as the needs of customers grow, Busey continues to expand its digital footprint, allowing you to bank when and how you want. Whether it's personal or business banking, opening an account, or scheduling an appointment, you can do it all from the convenience of home. eBank, that's Busey's online and mobile banking tool. You can check balances, view transactions, transfer funds, pay bills, and more. The mobile app allows you to deposit checks, provide travel plans, analyze spending habits. Find the Busey mobile app in the App Store or Google Play. You can also you can open an account online, save a trip to the bank, and apply for new checking and saving accounts online. Also, schedule an appointment. Skip the line, schedule appointments online for services related to your personal checking or savings, mortgage, wealth management. Questions about how to bank from the comfort and safety of home? Busey's there to help. They've got you taken care of. At Busey, we're proud to offer convenient digital banking platforms that enhance our customers' user experience. Visit Busey.com to get started today. Ben Wilson. Thank you, Dave. Ben Wilson is exactly who I was thinking of. Busey. Member FDIC. I remember. Hey, I remember.
Thank you for choosing 2 Men in a Truck. How may I help you?
Hi, I have a strange question. What happens if it snows on moving day? I don't want my furniture to get wet and destroyed.
Well, that's not strange at all. We have the same concerns for your furniture. With over 9 million moves completed, our team is experienced to handle any weather conditions. Because we pad and stretch wrap your furniture before we put it on the truck, we'll make sure your belongings are safe and dry no matter what the forecast says.
Not sure how your move is going to work? Go to 2meninatruck.com for your free estimate.
This is a familiar sound in Illinois.
Cold snap grappling with heavy snowfall while bracing themselves for a significant winter storm.
The snow will come, but you need to go to work, to school, to the store, to care for family. When the weather's rough, you need a vehicle that's tough. Sarah of Champaign wants to put you in an Outback
Forester, Crosstrek, or Ascent. There are so many reasons why a Subaru SUV is the best vehicle to drive during winter months. Standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, vehicle dynamics control, 8.7 inches of ground clearance, and available X mode for when the snow is extra deep. That adds up to performance and safety. Don't wait for the next storm warning. If you have to get where you're going, no matter the weather, see the huge selection and great deals at Sarah Subaru today. Route 45 in Savoy, or online at sarahsubaruchampaign.com.
Are you one of those guys out there tinting windows day in and day out, all different shades of black, and ready to put a little color in your life? Come work for us. At Aftershock, we're looking for a guy with experience in wrapping, whether it be window tinting, vinyl wrapping, anything of that sort, or somebody with just ambition that wants to show up to work and be proud of what they do. You know those wraps with Troy Lands on the back waving at you? That's our work. Call us, 833-DECAL-IT, or email office@aftershockdd.com. We want you.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window. And whatever your project, you can count on Kramer Siding to offer you the best products backed by the best warranties in the business, as well as Central Illinois employees dedicated to providing you with professional installation and a lifetime of great customer service. And right now, you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks, get 15% off gutter helmet, and you can save 25% on preservation siding, windows, and doors. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com and let's get started on your project.
Kelsey Furniture in downtown Tuscola sells Tempur-Pedic beds. What's it like?
I'm going to tell you right now, Stevie, that thing is the best thing I've ever slept on in my life. My wife and I both have said we've never had better night's sleep. And the people at Kelsey's were fantastic. Brian is the guy that helped us. You know, as much as I did my research, he had a world of knowledge about beds themselves. Oh, man, it's like sleeping on a cloud, man.
Kelsey Furniture, downtown Tuscola.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Get ready for the 23rd Annual Best in Show Photographic Print Competition from Urbana Park District and the Champaign County Camera Club. Photo entries displayed at Lincoln Square Mall February 10th through the 25th. Enter the competition before January 24th at the cost of $5 for the first print and $3 for each additional print. After January 24th, it's $10 for the first print and $3 for each additional print. Kids 17 and under can enter free. There's 9 different categories. Learn more at urbanaparks.org.
Short-term market fluctuations can be unnerving for everyone. A proven way to tune out the noise and focus on long-term investment goals is to adhere to a well-constructed investment plan. This is Starla Carr with Provident Financial Group. If you don't have a plan in place, we can help create one designed specifically for you. Call us today for a complimentary consultation at 217-366-3456 or find us online at providentfinancialgroupllc.com.
Securities and advisory services offered through Commonwealth Financial Network, member FINRA, SIPC, or registered investment advisor.
Norm Miller here, chairman of Interstate Batteries. You know, without batteries, life would be pretty lifeless. That's why Interstate All Battery Centers carry them in every size, shape, and style so you can drive, drill, call, film, or do whatever it is you want to do. Stop in today. They've got the power to keep you going. Interstate All Battery Center. Outrageously dependable.
Interstate All Battery Center. You'll find them outrageously dependable just over Interstate 74 at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign, with batteries for most every application in stock.
Solid day against Rutgers. I thought that other than a 4 or 5 minute little lapse, maybe an intensity to start the second half, we did some really solid things. I thought that we did a really good job of taking Mag and Hyatt, in particular, Williams, kind of out of that game. Cliff was really their only really effective guy on the offensive end. I thought with Terrence coming back, I thought he was solid. Kind of about what about what we expected, for a guy who's missed 6 games in 3 weeks. And, it's very, very challenging to get your competitive flow back. And it took him a minute to do that. But Justin Harmon, I thought, was just outstanding on both ends. I think we forget sometimes how good an athlete Justin is, and we saw that on display. Rebounding the basketball, 8 rebounds, and then some of his drives to the basket were extremely athletic. So very pleased with him. At night we didn't shoot the ball particularly well, and scored 86, and basically 6 guys in double figures. So I like that. Now it's onto the road, and life in the Big Ten on the road always has its challenges. You get great crowds and passionate fan bases, and you get a team for the second time, one that we played very well against in the first game. We made shots, this is a team that has beaten Maryland, has beaten Purdue at home. They're shooting the ball much better at home than they have on the road. They just lost a tough one at Nebraska. But Langborg, Martinelli, Tiberi, Barnheiser, those guys shoot the ball at a really high clip at home. Obviously, I think Boo is one of the outstanding guards in the league and the head of the snake there. So expecting a very, very tough game. A team that is coming off a loss and has been very good at home.
Brad, the other night you talked about being really hard on Justin because of his role. What constitutes for you a good 6 man? What do they need to do to your level?
No drop off and elevation. Elevating the play. And it doesn't have to be in points. It can be a defensive lift. It can be an energy lift. It can be a lot of things. And I put tremendous value in that as a coach. And a lot of times we all get wrapped up in who starts and this and that. And I want those 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th guys, however many it is, to be able to elevate and do something that helps elevate after 4 minutes, and the other team's a little bit tired, and you come in and have the ability to score baskets, get stops, whatever the game needs. And so I put a lot of value in that, and always try to mold that position a little bit. And Justin's been the consummate student in that side of things in terms of trying to learn it.
Have you always kind of looked at it that way, or was there someone early in your career that you had come off the bench that did all those things for you?
No, I've always thought it was a team game, and I've never, it's kind of the old cliche. It's not who starts, it's who finishes, and you have to have value. You have to have guys that compete, and not everybody's going to be a first option. But there's tremendous value, or more value maybe, in a guy who comes off the bench and understands his role. I had it at Stephen F. Austin. Truthfully, probably my second best player was a guy who came off the bench, and so I've always valued it. I think it's a team game. You got to have guys there, and you don't want to. In a perfect world, you don't want to have a discrepancy from your first 5 and your second 5, and that's what we try to strive for.
With how the last game against Northwestern went, do you come in expecting maybe changes from them schematically, a more different effort or execution on their part?
I don't know. I think they threw a lot at us on the defensive side in terms of their double teams. They doubled big. They doubled from the baseline. Those are 2 things that they have always done. They're a team that forces a tremendous amount of turnovers. I think they lead the league in turnovers forced. They've always kind of done, since Chris Lowry's been there on staff, they've always kind of done what they do, and they've been really good at it. And I think second place finished last year, and I think led the league defensively. And and they're right there in contention again. So, everybody's done something a little bit different with Ty. So we've kind of come to expect something, but we'll adjust as we see what they do.
Boo got his points in the last game, as he will, just about everything. But is slowing down the supporting cast a big part of this, especially a guy like Barnheiser?
You can't. Well, Barnheiser's coming off a career high. I think he had 24 in Nebraska, and he's a really good player. And he's doing it. A couple threes a game. He's doing it on the offensive glass. He gets a couple post ups. He's doing it in a variety of ways, and you just have to make those guys' touches hard. You can't give those other guys. And I say this with Boo, and have so much respect for him. Is he's very unselfish. He's going to be he's a 5, 6, 7 assist a game guy, and it's what he does to elevate his teammates. So we've got to be good on all of them. This is a really good offensive team, especially at home, and you can't give them a ton of open threes, and if you do, they're going to make them.
Talk about the integration process with Terrence through one game and some practices. How have you felt the way that he's meshed? It did seem like the ball moved pretty well with him in the game.
It was good. It was good. I think we missed a couple of opportunities with him. Where we've been, we call them corner steps, where we've stepped up and screened and he didn't. Those are film things that we can clean up, and on the court things. And he drove a ball that was right back into the defense instead of making an extra pass once. And and then in the second half, he made the extra pass, and Coleman got a wide open three. So it's just little timing things like that come from practice and film, and he'll be better.
Do you coach him through road environments, and I would assume maybe even more broadly to your team as well over the next 2 out of 3 games?
Life on the road in the Big Ten. It's going to be animated as always. It's always a raucous crowd when we go to Evanston and when we go on the road, and it's the beauty of this league is there's sellout crowds everywhere, and there's great passionate fan bases. Students are back in, and our job is to go play basketball and worry about the guys in the uniform, and try to do the best we can to eliminate all the outside.
When you looked at maybe the defense in that stretch without Terrence, compared to what it had been with him, was it just his presence, or did you identify other things that where those metrics dipped in?
Well, he's 6'6", 220 pounds. He's a really gifted athlete. He's extremely strong, and then he competes at a very high level. And when you look at guys that guard the basketball, which Terrence does a lot, he's in that situation a lot for us. He's really good at it, and he's physical. He's long. He does a great job with his length of what we call a rear view contest over the top of ball screens. You don't replace that. That's genetics, and then a great desire to become an elite defender. He's got unbridled passion for that. So you don't replace it. We did some other things a little bit better sometimes because we had to scheme a little different. But it's an unmatched talent to do what he does on that side.
Recruiting is going pretty well. Do you have maybe a guiding philosophy or strategy of how you want the roster to be constructed in terms of balancing high school kids and transfer portal kids?
Yeah, I think that we have to be careful with high school guys. I think it's the right fit. It's the right character. It's obviously talent. You're not going to have guys come in that you don't think fit your style or have the ability to play at this level. And then you've got to juggle the portal, and to continue to recruit high school players. We're going to continue to do that. It suits us. I think they're base, the essence of what your foundation is, what your culture is. They help teach the transfers what to do, whether they're 1 or 2 year guys, because they understand, they've been here. And, I think Coleman Hawkins is one of the great examples of a 4-year guy, Luke Goody, a 3-year guy that just understand and have helped our transfers this year. So we're gonna continue to recruit freshmen who we think are really, really good players, and and fit the Big Ten and fit the way we're trying to play as we move forward.
How's Amani progressing? What do you imagine his status to be tomorrow?
He'll be in uniform. Amani was a partial go yesterday in practice. Did a good amount, so he will be in practice today. So we'll see him back in a uniform today and not sweats, which is a really good thing.
What does that allow you guys to do, just having him back in terms of depth, but in the front court there?
Well, again, he gives us that pick and pop 5 who can really shoot it. And he's a really good rebounder. Again, there's some integration process with him as he's been out a good bit here. He was just really starting to blossom and play well, due to prior to the back injury. So, he's a young guy that doesn't have a ton of experience to lean on, but he's got you got to have him back and get him integrated and start hitting bodies again, and that's the important thing at this point.
You said Sunday that defense was maybe where Terrence we saw made some struggles. Was that just first game in 3.5 weeks? Or?
Yeah, it's more of a mindset, and competing is when you take some time off from competing, you don't just strike that match. It takes a minute to get going and get that culture mentally going again. And I thought that the conditioning piece and all of that were factors, but there's nothing like just getting out there and competing again. And I think that practices help with that, and obviously the game, but that'll help him as much as anything on the defensive side.
A tradition of excellence over 150 years in the making. At Busey Bank, we're committed to building relationships that span generations. Wherever your journey in life leads you, we are with you along the way, creating a legacy for you and your family. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868, proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Is your birthday in January? Well, get ready to rev up the celebration. Clay Dooley Tire and Auto is giving you a free oil change during your birthday month. That's right, a special treat to keep your wheels spinning smoothly as you celebrate another fantastic year. Don't miss out on this incredible birthday offer. Schedule your complimentary oil change at either the Champaign or Bloomington locations. Since 1917, Clay Dooley Tire and Auto has been your go-to for driving with confidence.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
When it comes to finding a reliable vehicle, look no further than Sarah Champagne, your trusted automotive destination. They carry a lineup of top brands including Honda, BMW, Subaru, GMC, and Buick. And they're not just about cars, they're about people. Their team is dedicated to providing you with trustworthy service and dependable vehicles that fit your lifestyle. Experience the difference at Sarah Champagne. Visit Sarah, Serra, Champagne.com.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
Looking for a place to host a corporate meeting, intimate gathering, or a large-scale celebration? If so, the University of Illinois' Alice Campbell Alumni Center offers the perfect space and staff to make your function a success. A few rooms offered at the center include the Elegant Ballroom, the Richmond Family Gallery, and the Premier and Professional Executive Boardroom. For more information on renting a space at the Alice Campbell Alumni Center, visit uiaa.org/alumni-center or call 1-800-355-2580. Go Illini!
Here's the deal. When you combine State Farm home and auto insurance, you save an average of $889. State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow is ready to help you combine home and auto and save right here in Champaign-Urbana. Call 352-1411 today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Average annual per household savings based on a 2019 national survey by State Farm of new policyholders who reported savings by switching to State Farm.
2 Men in a Truck has been recognized as a trusted leader in the moving industry for over 35 years. Now we are proud to offer that same reliability to junk removal, introducing 2 Men and a Junk Truck to the Champaign area. Our goal at 2 Men and a Junk Truck is to help you make room for what matters most. We can make your garage, attic, basement, house, or business look bigger with our furniture or appliance removal. Contact us today at 2menjuncktruck.com.
First Federal Savings Bank of Champaign-Urbana invested in our community since 1908. Before you buy your home in 2024, we invite you to speak with one of our experienced lenders, Jack, Jim, Kim, or Lane. Experience the convenience of working with a local lender with local service, decisions, and loan underwriting in our comfortable offices. Visit us to experience the exceptional friendly service from our knowledgeable staff. Hey, if you're not already banking with us, give us a try. We think you'll love it here. We do. 356bank.com, First Federal. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 435120.
It is The Drive, ESPN Radio 93.5, The Drive with Tay and Piper. You heard from Derek Piper earlier today around 3:30. You'll also hear from him next hour when we replay hour one of The Drive. So you'll hear Derek talking about tonight's game at Northwestern. He joined us from a drive, or I guess he was still in his car maybe, on his way up to Evanston in the fog. By the way, everybody, be really safe tonight. It is extremely foggy out there. So Kyle Tosk joining me. Corey Witt joined us in the first hour, so you'll hear him again next hour. I wanted we kind of brought up numbers and uniform numbers. Jeff mentioned 51, obviously, but Lon, being a Cardinals fan, knows that's Willie McGee, one of the all-time favorites with St. Louis. Dave, pointed out that Magic Dave pointed out Ben Wilson was the Simeon star that was shot and killed, the number one recruit in the country that Illinois, Lou Henson, had recruited and had committed to Illinois. And, of course, he never made it here, but then that started a trend of Simeon guys coming to Illinois that then wore the number 25. Nick Anderson started that trend. I've accidentally said Deion Thomas, but it was Nick Anderson. Thanks to Heath, has the rundown. Nick Anderson, Deion Thomas, Bryant Notree, Kendrick Nunn all wore number 25 at Illinois. I know there was a good run there of always having a Simeon guy at number 25 on the Illini roster. So very cool in that regard. We haven't touched on that Baseball Hall of Fame. And if you didn't know, Adrian Beltre got an easy 95% vote. Todd Helton. Do you know that Todd Helton, Kyle, started in front of Peyton Manning at quarterback at Tennessee?
I did not know that.
Todd Helton was a two-sport star at Tennessee and actually started ahead of Peyton Manning. I don't know the full story, but I think eventually Peyton Manning wrestled that from him, and obviously the rest is history. But Todd Helton went on to become one heck of a baseball player and is now in the Hall of Fame. And then Joe Mauer, the longtime catcher for the Minnesota Twins. He was one of the three, Beltre, Helton, and Mauer, that made it into the Hall of Fame. I thought it was kind of cool. Did you happen to notice when the Twins honored Joe Mauer, they wanted Mauer's kids to throw out the first pitch. There's three of them. So they invited a gentleman back to bring the baseballs out to hand to the kids. This guy was the only person to strike Joe Mauer out in high school. One strikeout in high school for Joe Mauer, and this dude did it.
Oh my
and
gosh.
the Twins invited him to the game to bring out the. I thought that was so stinking cool.
That
but
is.
Really cool. So Billy Wagner, the hard-throwing lefty reliever for the Astros many years, he was so good. Just missed at 73.8%. Gary Sheffield just missed. Andrew Jones, Carlos Beltran, and then on down you had Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Chase Utley, Omar Vizquel, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, and Andy Pettit. So, again, Beltre, Helton, and Mauer. Those are your Hall of Famers for Major League Baseball in 2024. I mentioned to you in tennis, I'm like, can you name 5 tennis guys on the
I'm a former tennis player, so I do
that's
follow
right.
tennis a little bit. I still would probably get to
Federer?
maybe like 8, and he retired.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of then? Who's the guy that's battling the COVID thing? Like
Novak Djokovic.
No, did you see the other day somebody yelled out at him like he was getting ready to serve and somebody was like, "Get vaccinated." And so they paused and he, the crowd kind of booed that guy that yelled that, and then the next serve, then Djokovic served an ace to win the set. It was like, okay, so you'd have like who's the lefty that's good
Rafa
on clay?
Nadal.
Yeah, Nadal and Djokovic. You've got the guy Kevin Anderson that played at Illinois that finished second to Djokovic in the was that French or was that Wimbledon?
I don't actually remember that, but
That was a few years ago.
The newest stud is Carlos Alcaraz from Spain. He's the next big
He's
thing
the
in
stud?
tennis. Yeah,
And
he's
he
like
got
20
beat
years
today.
old. He did, yeah, in the Australian Open.
Upset in 4 sets in the Australian Open by Alexander Zverev.
Him and Djokovic have already had like 3 battles in major finals that have
Nice.
been classics. That's for a tennis fan like me, those have been fun.
I bet. I think we talked about this once, but Netflix had that series on tennis. Did you ever watch that?
I didn't know.
Oh, you would, Kyle. I'm telling you, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm not a tennis fan anymore. When I was your age, I loved tennis. We had John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Yvonne Lendl. We had just a bunch of Pete Sampras, Boris Becker. There was a crew of great tennis players through the years. Andre Agassi, that was really made tennis fun, and it was I thought was more popular back in the day, but I'm not sure. I know Brad Dancer reached out to me the other day about coming on soon to talk sometime in February to talk about some events coming up for the Illini men's tennis team. But yeah, it just seems like anymore I kind of am losing track